Welcome back to another video on Japanese family registries or Koseki. In this video, we'll learn about all the different types of Koseki, the Koseki Tohon, Joseki, Kaiseihara or Kaiseigen Koseki, and so many more. We'll look at the history, similarities, and differences between them all. At the end, I will also tell you about a type of Koseki that is actually illegal to have. We'll go into detail about Koseki, so if you're looking for some general information about them, check out the first long-form video I did on this topic, linked up here. Once you know the basics about Koseki, come back to this video. Hi, my name is Sachi. I am a Japanese language teacher and translator. I have two online courses, Japanese Phonetics 101 and Japanese for Flight Attendants. I also provide Koseki-related services for people who have Japanese ancestry. こんにちは。心コミュニケーションズのサチです。今回の動画では、戸籍謄本、除籍謄本、改正原戸籍など、戸籍の種類を英語で紹介します。Before we begin, let's do a quick review about what a koseki is. A koseki is a Japanese family registry or a Japanese family register. It is a form of civil registration which also functions as proof of nationality. Many countries register their citizens individually, but Japan registers them in family units in the form of a koseki. Today, all Japanese citizens are listed in a koseki with the exception of the royal family. The two types of koseki that are the easiest to explain are the koseki tohon and koseki shohon. A koseki tohon is a record of all family members in a given household. This document will list each person's life details, including birth, death, marriage, divorce, adoption, cancellation of adoption, and more. The most recent koseki tohon look like this, but you may have also seen ones that look more like this. A koseki shohon is a record of just one family member. It's essentially a fraction or a segment of a koseki tohon. For those of us who want to learn about our Japanese family history, we may only be interested in the koseki tohon since it lists everyone, but sometimes organizations in Japan will ask someone for their koseki shohon in order to get certain types of paperwork completed. The label genko koseki or gen koseki refers to an active koseki. This is relevant because once all family members from a koseki are removed from it, a koseki becomes a joseki. These are cancelled, deleted, or removed family registries. They also come in both tohon and shohon versions, where the joseki tohon lists all family members and the joseki shohon lists only one family member. Reasons that people are removed from a koseki include death, marriage, adoption, establishing a new household, and obtaining citizenship to a different country, therefore losing Japanese citizenship. In the case of death and naturalization, the person is permanently removed from the koseki. But when marriage, adoption, or creation of a new household occurs, the person is simply removed from one and added to another. Older joseki tohon have a big X written on top of the person who has been removed, so they look like this. New ones simply have the word joseki added to the information about the person, so it looks like this. Okay, let's take a moment to summarize what we've talked about so far. Koseki is an umbrella term for the Japanese family registry. Genko koseki are active koseki, which have at least one person listed on them. A koseki tohon is the full document which lists all family members, and a koseki shohon lists only one person's information. When all members are removed from a koseki, it becomes a joseki or deleted registry. A joseki tohon includes all members, and a joseki shohon lists only one person. The final category of koseki is perhaps the most complicated, but in my opinion, it's the most interesting. There are multiple types of Kaiseihara koseki or Kaiseigen koseki. You can think of them essentially as a subset of joseki, but they are usually explicitly labeled as Kaiseihara or Kaiseigen koseki. These koseki are created by changes in the family law. When a new format of a koseki is implemented, the previous format becomes a Kaiseihara koseki. Before we talk about the different types of this koseki, let's take a moment to address why it has two different names, Kaiseihara koseki and Kaiseigen koseki. Kaiseigen koseki is actually the more correct form of reading this kanji, but if you say gen koseki without the kaisei part, it can be confused with the genko koseki or gen koseki, which are the current koseki. Because we don't want to confuse these different types of koseki, this kanji is frequently read hara. So, Kaiseihara Koseki or just Hara Koseki is also considered to be correct. For me, I almost always use Hara Koseki in order to minimize confusion. The Kaiseihara Koseki are redrawn, revised, or re-established family registries, and there are 5 types. If you're researching your family history and go as far back in history as you can, you may have seen 4 of these 5 types. The Meiji Year 19 or 1886 Koseki has the head of the household as the center point of the family and lists all of their immediate and extended family members in the household, including grandparents, parents, siblings, spouses, children, nieces and nephews, and grandchildren. The personal details included for each person focus on life events like birth, death, marriage, divorce, and adoption. They look like this. Because of the age of these documents, characters which are no longer in use today are often included, and sometimes they can be nearly impossible to read. The Koseki of Meiji Year 13 or 1898 were heavily influenced by the Japanese household legal structure at the time. It gave authority to the head of the household, and it listed their extended family. A new column to write the reason and date for becoming head of household was added to clarify this information, since it also includes the date and reason that a new Koseki was drawn up. Until this point, Koseki were used for things like taxation and military service, but the Family Register Act of 1898 changed the purpose of these documents to status clarification. So, compared to earlier versions of the Koseki, the parents' names, relationships, and birth information became clearer. The Taisho Year 4 or 1915 style Koseki started including more details for each family member as well, including the names of their parents. Each person's relationship to the head of the household was also clearly indicated. The separate column which indicated the reason and date that a person became the head of the household was removed, and this information was instead added to the general information about that person. Up until this point in time, registrars and registrar offices managed the Koseki, but with the Family Register Act of 1915, the responsibility was moved to the city and town halls. Starting in Showa Year 23 or 1948, the Japanese household legal structure that had started in 1898 was significantly revised. The definition of the term household went from including all members in a given house, which of course would include extended family, to only the members of a nuclear family, meaning husband, wife, and their children. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and other extended family members were no longer allowed to be in the same Koseki. The term used for head of the household also changed from koshu, which suggests ownership of a home, to hittosha, which refers to the first name on the list of the family members. Another change that was implemented was the requirement that a new Koseki had to be drawn up when the head of a household died. Up until this point, when the head of the household passed away, a new one would be selected and the Koseki would be redrawn with the new head of the household. Starting in the Showa Year 23 style of Koseki, they no longer had to be rewritten, and a Koseki could simply have a head of the household who had passed away. This is the Koseki system that we still use today. Unlike the transition from the 1898 version to the 1915 version of the Koseki, this change was a major one. And with a lot happening in Japan immediately following World War II, the 1948 version of the Koseki actually took from 1957 to 1965 to implement. These Koseki include a statement at the beginning which clarifies that the revision was made in accordance with the Ministry of Justice Ordinance No. 27 of 1957. In Heisei Year 6 or 1994, the computerization process began. Koseki were standardized to A4 size paper, and the Koseki Tohon were given the official title of Certificate of All Matters, or Zenbujiko Shoumeisho, and the Koseki Shohon were given the official title of Certificate of Individual Matters, or Kojinjiko Shoumeisho. Today, some small villages have yet to computerize their Koseki, but most of the country has computerized them. No matter what version a Koseki is, once all members are removed from it and it becomes a joseki, there is a set amount of time that it must be kept in storage at the relevant municipal office. Once that time is up, the offices are allowed to destroy them. At the moment, the storage period is 150 years, but until 2010, the storage period was only 80 years, so there may be some joseki that have been destroyed even if they aren't 150 years old yet. If you are lucky enough to obtain the oldest possible koseki still kept in municipal offices, they will be the 1898 or Meiji Year 19 version. But there actually is one more type of Kaiseihara koseki, which are from 1872 or Meiji Year 5. The Family Register Act was enacted on April 4th, 1871, and came into effect the following year on February 1st, 1872. This is when the modern version of the Japanese family register system began. Until then, so during the Edo period, there was a system called Shumon Ninbetsu Aratamecho, which tallied households including the imperial family, nobility, samurai, soldiers, monks, and commoners. At the time, this was groundbreaking. The zodiac sign for the year that these first koseki were created was the water monkey or Mizunoe Saru. So the koseki from Meiji Year 5 are called the Jinshin koseki. These koseki listed the social status of each family. Burakumin, a group of people who were considered outcasts and experienced discrimination, began receiving the upgraded title of commoner at this time, but were sometimes given a specific type of commoner label on their koseki, which made it clear they had Burakumin heritage, which resulted in their continued discrimination. By around 1877, these social statuses were abolished, but their statuses remained listed on their koseki, and sometimes this information was transferred into the Meiji Year 19 style koseki. In 1968, there was an incident in which some people tried to access the Jinshin koseki to check whether certain people had Burakumin heritage. That same year, access to these documents was prohibited. These Jinshin koseki are now illegal to have. Given the 150-year storage period for koseki, you may think that they've all been destroyed, but they're actually kept securely stored for historic and research purposes in the future. One of my clients received a letter from a koseki office in Japan stating that they were not allowed to have a copy of their family's koseki because it was a Jinshin koseki. If you're doing your own family history research, this may come up for you as well. Like I mentioned earlier, when a new type of koseki is implemented, the previous format becomes a Kaiseihara koseki. That's why today, all 5 of these older versions of koseki from 1872 or Meiji Year 5, 1886 or Meiji Year 19, 1898 or Meiji Year 31, 1915 or Taisho Year 4, and 1948 or Showa Year 23 are all Kaiseihara koseki. The newest version, the Genko koseki, is the 1994 or Heisei Year 6 style. And with that, you now know about all the different types of koseki and how they each came to be. If you're hoping to request your own family's koseki, learn how to do it from this video, or feel free to reach out to me and I would be happy to assist you. If you already have your koseki and you would like them translated, feel free to contact me via email. You can also take a look at my koseki playlist and more free resources in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking the video, leaving a comment below, and subscribing to the channel for more videos on Japanese language learning and koseki. では、最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。Thanks so much for watching until the end, and see you next time!